Christopher, congratulations on this movie. It was phenomenal, phenomenal. I couldn't get enough of it. Why did you decide to take on this man, this time period, and this story right now?
I think, the films come along hopefully when you're ready to tell the story. And Oppenheimer's story is one that I'd been interested in for quite some time. I really got hooked by learning about the moment at which the members of the Manhattan Project, which he was leading, realized that there was a very, very small possibility that when they triggered the very first atomic device, it might set fire to the atmosphere, cause a chain reaction that would destroy the entire world. And yet they had to go ahead and push that button. And I really thought if you could make a film where you take the audience into that room and you see them make that decision and you're there with them for those events, that would be the most extraordinarily dramatic situation.
Well, you did just that. I mean, I felt like I was there in the room watching this. You feel everything throughout the whole movie. And I know you wrote this movie with Cillian in mind. You have worked together for over 20 years now. Why was he the right guy, and why do you keep coming back to him for more?
Cillian Murphy is one of the great actors of his generation, and I was very fortunate to start working with him very early in his career. And he's done a lot of great work for me in a lot of different movies. And I've always, in the back of my mind, thought if the right project was there, the right role for him to be the lead of the film, what a privilege and a pleasure that would be to work together and create together that way. And with the story of Oppenheimer, looking at the real man, looking at his incredible blue-eyed stare, the intensity of that, the gaze, I thought, well, I know somebody like that. I know the actor who could do that. And I called Cillian, and off we went, and it's just been the most incredible experience. I mean, I wanted an actor who could carry the audience with him, so that you see the events of Oppenheimer's life through his eyes, and rather than sort of judging him, you're kind of experiencing things with him. And Cillian has that incredible empathetic ability, that ability to just draw an audience into what he's thinking and feeling the way all the great stars do.
And he said this was the best script he's ever read. Do you know that? Did you hear that?
Oh, well, that's
best script he's ever read. That's a huge deal.
That's a lovely thing for him to say, and I think when people see the performance, they'll see that it's a truly remarkable performance that he's given us. And as part of, one of the most incredible ensembles I've ever been fortunate enough to work with, Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Kenneth Branagh. There's so many great actors in this movie. But that was really necessary because even though, you're seeing the story really through Oppenheimer's point of view, but you need this incredible supporting cast to bring to life the world of all of these years of his life, through the incredible drama of the Manhattan Project, and then everything that happens afterwards to him that's not something that's as well known to audiences, but it's pretty startling.
And as a film geek, I really appreciated this about this movie. You wanted to be as historically accurate as possible. You even filmed in the home of Oppenheimer and his family, right? So what other things did you do to maintain that accuracy?
We tried to be guided by the reality of the history. In terms of casting, for example, we didn't put together composite characters. We really tried to put a face to every name of, or as many of the names of people involved in this as possible. When it came to the settings and locations, we really tried to be as true to the history as we could. We wanted to film in the real Los Alamos, but of course there's a Starbucks there and supermarkets and everything. It's a modern, thriving town. But we were able to build the exteriors nearby and make the exterior town the way it would have looked, 1942 when they first got there. But then within the individual locations at the real Los Alamos, we were able to shoot in Oppenheimer's real house. We were able to shoot at Fuller Lodge, which is the sort of meeting place where they would have, parties and get-togethers and assemblies, if you like, of the Manhattan Project. Things like that, being able to shoot in those real places and at some of the real universities like, Berkeley and the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton. We were able to film in Einstein's real office, which hasn't changed, since he was there. And the sense of history that you get being in a place like that, where these great people lived and worked, it's such a thrill.
And the explosion. We have to talk about that moment. I was in the theater covering my ears and I wasn't even there. It's as if I was there and I was gonna hear it in real time. How did you pull that off? And was it important for you, for people watching the film, to have this sort of visceral reaction in that moment?
We knew that the Trinity test would have to be the centerpiece of the film. It would have to be a real showstopper. It's this moment that they've been building towards for 2 years. All of this incredible effort, all of this money, all of these resources, all of America, coming together in this moment. And it was the first time this terrible, destructive power had ever been witnessed. And so we put a lot of time and effort into planning and figuring out how we were going to convey the sense of excitement, of fear and anticipation and everything that would have led up to and in that moment where nuclear fire was seen and unleashed in the world for the first time.
Wow, it was remarkable. And in the vein of Oppenheimer creating the atomic bomb, if you could create anything, invent anything right now, whether it's silly or serious, and put it out into the world, what would it be?
Well, I mean, if I could invent anything, I'd invent a machine to be able to get rid of Oppenheimer's great invention. The really, awful thing about this story, and the reason it's so important for audiences today is, once you've made this discovery, once you've unleashed this power, there seems to be no way of turning back the clock, no way of putting the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. And see this movie in the theater. It's not meant for streaming, it's meant for the big screen. I saw it in IMAX, which was amazing. Why is that important?
It was really important to me to tell this giant story on the biggest screen possible. I want that sense of immersion and depth that particularly IMAX film gives you, because I want the audience to experience this stuff. I want them to be seeing Oppenheimer's story through his eyes, really experiencing things the way he did, not sort of sitting outside and judging him, not just looking at the narrative. I want them kind of feeling what he went through and being really engaged in these crazy paradoxes and unbelievably tense and unprecedented situations that he found himself in.
Well, it was 3 hours long and I wanted more. I think that's all you need to hear, right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.